What is up, Scar Knight, bringing you a special, I'm not sure what to call this. Basically, what we're doing, we're taking a little break from Dark and Windy's generations because he has like 15 of them, and what I decided on doing is doing like his generation, then doing actual Pokemon generation, and then we'll go back to his, just so it's not overwhelming for for you guys and myself, pretty much. Now, we're gonna see how Generation 1 holds up if we really just break it down based on design alone. Not the Pokemon themselves, but the design of it, and whether they hit the mark or not of what they were going for, and if it could be a character in any other series. Generation 1, you already know that. Well, pretty much, because people always went like, well, is it the first time they ever tried something, so the designs aren't going to be completely fantastic, and you guys could probably already think of a couple Pokemon that are exactly that case. But I don't think that's a fair statement to say, to be quite honest, because there's other series that tried designing characters for the first time. And, for example, like Digimon and Yokai Watch and Beyblade, all these characters, like for Yokai Watch, I feel like they did it pretty well of what characters, weird, but well for the most part. Now, you're gonna be kind of surprised at what I have to say, before I get started on that. Do not forget to go watch the Melton episode. We got a brand new Pokemon! Oh my god! And a pretty good, pretty well job. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. I did a pretty good job explaining and covering it more than, I don't know, I think I honestly did the best out of all the other ones that covered Melton, to be quite honest. But either way, like I said, you'll be surprised at what I have to say about these Pokemon, because right off the bat, we got ourselves Bulbasaur. Now, people do not know this, and I didn't find it out till like a couple weeks or months ago or something, but I wasn't sure what Bulbasaur was. I just assumed he was a dinosaur, I thought he was just like some type of Stegosaurus, kind of, with the bulb on his back, when it gets to his evolution stage. And we got 151 Pokemon, so I can't really dwell on too much about certain aspects and something. And I'm also including Alolan Pokemon and Mega Evolutions as well, as long as it's in Generation 1. That doesn't make sense either way, because Generation 6 and 7 if I'm including that, but you know what I mean. As long as it's in that dynamic, I'll keep it in. Now, like I mentioned before, I wasn't sure what Bulbasaur was. He's kind of like I thought he was just a Stegosaurus Triceratops thing without the Triceratops horns. But it turns out that the starter Pokemons, they said there's going to be a lizard, there's going to be a turtle, and that there's going to be a frog. Now, guess which one was the frog? Yeah, it's Bulbasaur. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know many frogs that have ears. At least ones that are pointed, kind of like the shape of a cat. So this is why I say you'll be surprised to hear what I have to say about these Pokemon, because already I feel like they missed the mark. Design-wise, though, just in general, I think it's a decent design, but it's always the least one I always choose. Over the years, Bulbasaur, when he started, he's always been kind of bulky and always looked relatively the same over the generations. There's also Maze Bulbasaur that has a heart shape on his head, and I really feel like female Bulbasaur is a better design than regular Bulbasaur, because it's not just spots, it's actual personality to it. As for Ivysaur, out of the 3 Pokemon, or 4 since I'm including the Mega, I feel like Ivysaur is the best design out of those 3. It's not obvious that it's a frog, especially that has teeth now. Bulbasaur also has teeth, but you can see it in the picture, so You know, there's that. Ivysaur over the years was standing on its hind legs for some reason, so I wasn't really sure what it was going for. I don't know why they decided to make Bulbasaur four-legged and then stand up and then go back down, but they changed it up over the years. Like in yellow version he looks like this, and slowly developed into a, you know, the standard Ivysaur that we're used to seeing. As for Venusaur, I always thought this, but it always looks sick to me. I don't know. And this is the reason why I always picture in my head like, oh, it's a dinosaur. It's just strictly a dinosaur. That's what I thought in my head. I guess it's a frog. But if you ever look at those real life Pokemon things, it always depicts it as a frog. But the thing is about Venusaur, recently actually, in Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, you're able to get a Pokemon behind you, whatever you want, as long as it's in the front of the party, and you know, it just follows you around, right? Now for Venusaur though, and a lot of people pointed this out, but his legs, the way he hops outwards, it does jump off just like a frog, which is suspicious because I'm all like, well, I guess Pokemon did mean it to be a frog. But I don't know about you, but in the anime, and like when it comes to all the starter final evolutions, they always make it seem super strong. Like they did a good job with Charizard. I felt like they did a good job with Blastoise, and they sure had a good job with Venusaur as well. But Venusaur, he would just walk, and I don't know why they just decided this time, oh, let's just make him actual hop, since, you know, hey, people are starting to pick up on the frog thing. But I do feel like they missed the mark, and Venusaur, I think, is my least favorite design out of the three. Even there's, I believe that the male and female does have a difference in the center of the flower. I do believe. In the early sprites as well though, is what I noticed is that the tree goes a little bit out. Or I want to say a tree, but it's mostly a flower. It pokes out a little bit, and in red and green, since that came out first, the flower looks more wild. It looks more standoutish. I don't know really how to say it, but then we see the standard Venusaur by yellow version and onwards. Looking more stout and stuff, so yeah, do notice that. But yeah, the bulb is a little bit different, I do believe, when it's male and female, so there's that. I don't think I'll be able to point out every male and female difference, so I might just skip over that, because I don't, because this one's a little bit too subtle, you have to actually notice it to break it down. But there is Mega Venusaur. And the way Mega Venusaur looks, I feel like they maybe could have done a different direction to it, because they added more, they added the leaves more outward, and they added the flower on top. I'm not sure where they could have went with that. It's kind of harder since I didn't really like Venusaur's design as it is anyway. But you know, I don't know. But yeah, out of all those, Ivysaur is my favorite. Alright, next Pokemon is Charmander. It's the starter Pokemon that everybody chose, especially myself. It's like one of the first Pokemon I ever always chose. Charmander pretty much always looks the same. It's just his nose was a little bit different early onwards, but then it pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much the same. I do like this design. The thing that I really do like about the Charmander lineup, I think my favorite design out of the three is definitely Charmeleon. The way Charmeleon looks, it has like the perfect color, and is like one of the best middle stage evolutions in my opinion, design wise. It's really, really cool. I'm pretty sure most people feel that is, out of the three, the better ones, even though Charizard is the actual dragon, despite him being fire flying type. But it's really, really cool. It's just I mean, my favorite color is dark red, and it just works, you know. The design early onward was different. It had like a rounder nose, like I mentioned that Charmander had, and then they had the Charmeleon that we know nowadays had like a sharper, not really too sharp, but like more sharper than this, sure enough. And looks relatively the same onwards. So yeah. As for Charizard also is a good design. The reason I say Charmeleon is a little bit better is because it might just be the color and it just looks cool. I mean, Charizard also, it's a close second. It's a very close second, I feel. But I don't know. I guess, yeah, I'm not sure. Charizard's really good. I don't know how they would make it better, design wise. I guess if it was dark red, yeah, because it's my favorite color, but that's kind of biased if you ask me. Maybe if they made it more bulkier and maybe with like better arms possibly, or bigger wings, I'm not sure. Something maybe more scalier, maybe that will make it better. I'm gonna see right quick how different Charizard was early generation. Oh yeah, he was much different. You can see the evolution in red and green version, how it looks. Yeah, that would look a little goofy, to be quite honest. And then red and blue is the standard one that we're used to. Close, but not exactly it. And then I always made fun of the yellow version one because it just looks like a dog to me in this sprite. But the rest looks pretty much the same of the standard Charizard that we're used to. Yeah, the fire grows and stuff. As for Charizard Y, Mega Charizard Y, it's a great design. A lot of people were disappointed that it wasn't a dragon type up until Mega Charizard X. But design wise, you know, this is the first thought that came through my mind when I saw this thing. I thought it looks a little bit more slender than what Charizard's supposed to be, because Charizard, I'm not gonna lie, in the stomach area he's fat. It's just no question about it. So it's a bit curious to see that Charizard Y is a bit too slender, a little bit too sleek. He looks fast moving. Not to say that, you know, it's all that much different, but I mentioned this in an episode, I believe in Leaf Green before, but Charizard is like, what, 5'7" or something like that? I kind of misread it when I saw it on the Pokédex, because I'm all like, that seems a little bit too short. But I do feel like Charizard should be like 7 feet, 8 feet tall. And I don't know how much different in height is Charizard Y. I mean, I guess I could go check right quick. Apparently they're all the same height, but that doesn't make sense. They're all 5'7", even Mega Charizard X. That's a bit weird. I don't know. I feel like, I'm not sure, man. Like Mega Charizard Y, like, am I wrong to say that? I mean, obviously the wings are bigger. I do know that, but it looks more slender. Even though the arms are a little bit bigger, it has like the spikes. It's a cool design nonetheless. Mega Charizard X is what everybody wanted. Is a dragon fire type. It's what Charizard's supposed to be, you know. The wings is an interesting choice, to be quite honest. And I obviously like the fire coming out on the. It almost looks like a mustache in a way. And I like the color choice. It's black and it's light blue. It's actually a pretty good design. I would change up the wings though. I feel like the wings are kind of off. And I feel like Mega Charizard X could very well be a Beyblade character and a Yu-Gi-Oh character as well. But nonetheless, it's still a good design. I really like the color choice. And yeah. So Squirtle, it's a great design Pokemon pretty much. There's nothing really else to say about that. I'm gonna look at it from the early stages of what it's designed like. Yeah, I do remember that, to be honest. It's his tail looks a bit more different. So I'm gonna cover something right now, right quick. A lot of people keep thinking that Squirtle's a squirrel turtle, It is not a squirrel turtle. It's this turtle's based off mythology, where there's like a turtle in Japan that really, you know, follows the waves, and that's where the tail comes in. I'll show a picture in the screen what I mean. It's not a squirrel turtle at all, because that doesn't explain Blastoise. He no longer has that tail, so there's no squirrel features whatsoever. And as for Word Turtle, this is the actual turtle from mythology. So in Red and Blue, it kind of still has that weird tail, and then Yellow version and onwards, it pretty much looks like the Squirtle that we all know. I prefer today's Squirtle. The past Squirtle was a bit weird for me. I don't like the tail in the beginning stages, but for this one is really good. I think this is my mom's favorite starter, and you know, it's definitely agreed upon that Squirtle's the best start out of the three, realistically, you know. And here's Word Turtle. You know, it's interesting to see the actual Generation 1 sprites because of how different they are. They kind of always redesign everything pretty much. So early Word Turtle looks like this. It relatively looks the same, you know. There's just different poses and stuff. But yeah, this is what I mean. I mean, I don't know about you, but squirrel and a turtle, it doesn't really sit right if you ask me. Design wise, I always did think it was weird. I didn't really understand the ears and the tail, to be quite honest. I didn't know it was based on mythology back then. I don't think, to be fair, most kids knew about the mythology from a different country. But it says right here, the feathery tail is a reference to Japanese legends to a Minogame. It's a turtle which lived for 10,000 years and grew a tail made out of seaweed. The use of the tail to store oxygen seems to be a reference to certain turtles that breathe through the cloaca placed near their tail. So that is what it says right here. But yeah, the design is weird though. I'll be honest on that. Like, if they're gonna go from Squirtle to Blastoise, wouldn't you think that Word Turtle would be like maybe have some type of little mini pistols or something, at least one of them? Or what? That wouldn't make sense based on Mega Blastoise. But speaking of which, here's Blastoise. I feel like Blastoise always been a really good, solid design. It's I would say it's the best out of the three. Squirtle's a close second. I mean, Word Turtle's also is not a terrible design. It's just weird, you know. That's just the only thing. But they're really close, I would say, in the ranks of a decent design Pokemon. But for Blastoise, if I'm looking at the early generations, I don't know how different it is in actuality. So, no, it looks exactly the same. I don't know why in Red and Blue they kind of make him a little bit more tubby. You know, seeing that it's just a shell that he has a gut over. But, you know, for the most part, you know, the Red and Blue, actually, I like that sprite the most. All the other ones, I mean, I like the Heart Gold and Soul Silver sprite. As for Mega Blastoise, the head area is a bit weird for me, and I do like the cannon, but I feel like it wouldn't reduce back down to 1. I would like a quadruple tunnel bazooka or something on both ends. I mean, the 2 pistols on there is not bad, but I feel like if it's Squirtle to Blastoise, Word Turtle should have something, maybe 1 gun on his back or something like that. I don't know. I can't honestly picture in my head what would be an ideal Word Turtle if I were to change it up, you know. But Blastoise, Mega Blastoise, that is a bit, I don't know. It's okay. But, you know, that's just the most I will give it. Alright, now on to the actual Pokemon. After 22 minutes, my gosh, I talk too much. Alright, so Caterpie, I actually do like this design a lot. It's pretty cool, you know, pretty simple. It's an ideal caterpillar Pokemon. I feel like it could also work for Digimon. And it looks tad bit different in red and blue. It looks more realistic, I would say. And the rest pretty much is history there, what Caterpie looks like. As for Metapod, I feel like this is a bit of a weird design. But it's still interesting nonetheless. If you think about it concept-wise, it kind of has two faces. It kind of tricks you in a way, because there's the front side, and then there's the other side that looks like it has a nose. So it's an interesting concept nonetheless. Pretty much looks the same all the way, except the back sprite is interesting to me, because they're the exact same, but based on all these other sprites. So it's interesting. I find it interesting. As for Butterfree, it's a solid design. You know, there's a lot of speculation whether it was meant to be Venonat then Butterfree based upon the face, but I do like Butterfree. Butterfree is a good design, and I really like the way where the anime shows like the other designs on the wings. You know, it makes it a lot better. So yeah, I would prefer it if it was. And there's like a shiny Butterfree that's not the actual shiny in the games, because the actual shiny in the games has like pink wings and, you know, green eyes and so on and so forth. But Ash Butterfree just hooked up with this needle in the haystack pink Butterfree for some reason. This special gem, this diamond in the rough Butterfree that he found and hooked up with. It's incredible. But Butterfree always pretty much looks exactly the same throughout the whole generations of what I'm looking at. And then there's Mega Butterfree. No, I'm just kidding. It's Weedle. So Weedle, I feel like they could have been a bit different with the color, to be quite honest. If it was, you know, if it was a brand new Pokemon presented to me, colors I would have used. I mean, if they're going for Beedrill, why not stick to, you know, the tiger colors, you know, yellow and black, even though that's not tiger colors, dude. But I feel like it would work, you know, it would work. I would change the nose to maybe a red, just to commemorate Beedrill, because it would work. I guess that's what they did think of, unless they didn't have much color palettes. But the early generations, it is yellow, but it has like an orangey nose, so I don't know. They changed it up in Crystal version and onward, where they changed it to brown. So interesting. I would have just make it Beedrill colors to make it work. It's okay design. I don't know. It's below average. Kakuna is it's a cool looking Pokemon. Not really much to say, except for the early designs I remember off the top of my head. In red and blue, no less, his arms are like sticking out, which is creepy because, you know, I get it that, you know, he's gotta turn it into a Beedrill at some point, but that's just creepy, man. Even in red and green version, they didn't have that. From yellow onwards, pretty much the same. Then we got Beedrill over here. Beedrill is actually a pretty good design, to be quite honest, if you really break it down. Yeah, there's not really much to say. Like, if they were to change the stingers, no, it's fine the way it is. I'm just thinking, like, what would have been different, because that's the feature that you know it for, is the drills, pretty much. It relatively looks the same. It's the red and blue sprite looks a bit weird, to be quite honest. Yellow onward looks pretty much the same. Red and green, it's sitting upright for some reason. And then there's Mega Beedrill as well. Mega Beedrill is an excellent design. It's pretty cool. A lot of people wanted this to be like a bug dragon, but then there would be too many dragon changes. Well, I guess that's not exactly true, but I could see it though. If Mega Beedrill was Bug Dragon, I wouldn't argue. I would be like, oh heck yeah, because I love dragons, clearly. Yeah, and I really love the shape of like the thorax. I feel like that's really cool, the shape of it. It's like what does it remind me of? It just reminds me of one of those peg screws or something. I'm not really sure what to call it, but you know what I mean. I think it's really cool. Pidgey, to me, looks like completely basic. I don't like the color choice, to be quite honest, throughout the whole evolution line, but at least I feel like Pidgeot works. But yeah, Pidgey, way too basic. They could do better than that. If I were to change up the colors, if I were to change up the colors, what would I change it to? Because it's supposed to be a basic bird, is the point. Well, it's called Pidgey. I don't know if it's an actual pigeon, and I don't know if pigeons in Japan look brown or something, if they base it off a real bird. Well, obviously they did, but I mean, there was that weird Pidgey in the beginning of the first episode, or maybe possibly second episode, in like the Pokemon Center, where I thought it was like a baby Articuno, but it was like some light blue Pidgey. Just make it that. It's fine. Then the color would be cool. It doesn't have to be a nice type. It pretty much is a baby Articuno if you break it down enough. But I like the beady eyes in the beginning stages. Pidgeotto, I'm not that much of a fan of design-wise. I'm not that much into longish hair, but ever since, you know, this lineup was a thing, ever since then, they had so many other bird Pokemon growing out their hair. They're like, you know what? I dig that look. At least the color scheme is getting a little bit better, but not quite there yet. Yeah, I'm a fan of having baby blue in most Pokemon designs because it's appealing. It's appealing to the eye. So I would probably, you know, if I'm sticking to my Pidgey being blue, then I would keep some yellow elements of what Pidgeotto has. It's a bit different in red, green, and red and blue. It's a bit tubby, is what I noticed. But yeah, everything that's yellow, it stays that way, and then all the other colors, I would just make it different shades of blue. That's just what I would do. As for Pidgeot, it's a much better design, definitely the best out of the three, and even above Mega Pidgeot. It looks pretty decent, in my opinion. Yeah, that's just how I feel about it. It looks pretty much the same all throughout. I feel like the red and blue sprite's a bit weird, but yeah, it's actually a pretty good design. I always did like the design of Pidgeot because it actually benefits from his colors. But again, if I were to keep that baby blue Pidgeot, I'll still keep the yellow, and then mix it with the baby blue shades. But nonetheless, Pidgeot's pretty good. Mega Pidgeot, I don't know how I feel about it. It has like long hair, and then within that has like a ponytail, and it's a much bigger bird. Let me see what the size of it actually is. Okay, so Pidgeot is 4'11", and then Mega Pidgeot is 7'3". He is taller than a Mega Charizard X. Actually, all the Charizards is much bigger than all of those. And its weight, apparently Pidgeot's 87 pounds, and its Mega Pidgeot's 111.3 pounds. So it outweighs it by nearly 30 pounds. Crazy. It really is a big turkey bird, isn't it? It's pretty interesting. I find that pretty interesting. Anything else I want to say? I don't know. Mega Pidgeot's a bit weird. I might as well, if, you know, again with the baby blue thing, for this one, just throw in the pink, yellow, and blue, and then there you go. There's your Mega Pidgeot. I would change up the hair though. The hair, blah. Blah, just blah. No. They could do better. Another basic Pokemon, we got ourselves Rattata. But, you know, I could kind of understand. It's purple rat. I'm pretty sure it looks the same throughout the whole generations. It can't really... Yeah, pretty much the same. It's just kind of how they designed it. If they were to make it better, I would already just straight up put it black and white, just like a Alolan Rattata over here. but they added a mustache on this one. I feel like Alolan Rattata should have been the Rattata, just in general, you know, because, you know, rats, you know, they're kind of thievious, but this is Generation 1 we're talking about, so there's no such thing as the Dark type quite yet, because it's introduced in Generation 2. So, you know, I just feel like the mustache looks work for Rattata, you know. As for Raticate, I don't know what to say about this. If you've seen my other video introducing the Pokemons, I say that Alolan Raticate is my least favorite Pokemon. It's like the top 3. My number 1 is Sableye, number 2 is Alolan Raticate, and number 3 is Ambipom. Alolan Raticate looks hideous. I would just keep Raticate, but I want to change the colors up. Black would work, I guess. I feel like it might need another color, maybe. I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I'll just stick with black. There's nothing else special that I could give to it. I think Eradicate early onward looked fatter. Yeah, a little bit. It looks like a big old hamster, to be honest. But it's too basic. At least it's like mix it up from purple to brown, I guess. But so here's the next Pokemon, Spearow. I always did like this Pokemon in a way because it's kind of aggressive. It's a nice color choice, to be quite honest. Red, brown, and tan kind of benefits each other nicely. Anything else I should say about it? Early onward, it did look weird. It kind of looks like a random bird that they just like took from a different game or something, because it's like on a branch on a sprite, and then it kind of looks different. From Generation 2 is the actual Spearow that I could see here. So yeah, I think Spearow's a good design. It's actually over Pidgeotto. Pidgeot, I feel like, beats it. And then they go to Fearow right here. Fearow, it's an alright design. I feel like they could have did better, because with Spearow and then turned to Fearow, they could have just still kept the elements with having the red wings and stuff like that. But overall, I don't know. Yeah, that's just what they could have done. If they would have added the Spearow elements, it would have looked a lot more better. And I guess it makes sense that I should still have the long beak and the long neck and the big wings and stuff, so, you know, there's that. Fearow pretty much looks the same. It's just weird sprites like this one, because the wings kind of look like one big old wing, I guess. But that's kind of how they pixel art it, so I think that's just the fault of the artist of how they make it look. Alright, so here's Ekans. Ekans, kind of what I expect a snake to be. Did you know Ekans is snake backwards? I know, it's crazy. Anyway, not really much to say about Ekans. It's just early onward, it really does look weird. Yeah, oh my gosh, look at red and green. What the heck? They made some improvements. Changed up the eyes and the body texture and everything. Red and blue looks... Oh my gosh. Yeah, red and green, red and blue looks atrocious, to be quite honest. There's one yellow version, they fixed it up and onward. Alright, that's for the best, you know. I feel like Ekans is fine the way it is. You don't need to overcomplicate it. I mean, you could literally put it to any color, it'd be fine, I guess. I guess that's not true, but purple and yellow is fine. Arbok's a pretty good design. I always did like the way Arbok looks, and especially his belly design, if you want to call it a belly or a crown or whatever it is. What does it look like early? Whoa, his belly's a lot bigger. And I noticed that the back sprite, it has markings on it, and for some reason I don't ever remember having markings on the back in the anime. So they did it before the games was out. I think what I noticed is, what I've been told is that in yellow version, when the anime came out and yellow version was about to appear, it was before they beat the 7th gym leader, so they were facing Blaine with the Magmar, and they didn't change the yellow version's Pokemon on time. Pretty much what I'm getting at is that they didn't, you know, the games when they're finished came before when the anime ended, so at some point they just decided to pull the plug on the Arbok markings. And you know, I noticed that Arbok's in the dragon species, so maybe in the future if it's Mega Arbok, it will be a dragon poison type. And then we got ourselves Pikachu, and my gosh, man, there's like so many variations of Pikachus that popped up in my screen. Cosplay Pikachu, Cat Pikachu. How is those? How is that different Pikachus? I don't even know if I should include the other Pikachus by, like, you know, just saying what they are, I guess. Pikachu is a pretty good design, to be quite honest. It's pretty solid. There's a reason why it's a mascot, because it benefits both guys and girls. And for the most part, what I noticed, and what everybody noticed, is that he used to be tubby when he was early onward, and he lost a lot of weight. And I draw a mean fat Pikachu, so what I mean by that, I'm pretty good at that. Oh my gosh, there's so much to scroll down on. There's so many Cat Pikachus. I mean, here's just a picture of everything. For God's sake, just leave me be. There's nothing else to talk about. With Pikachu, you already know, okay? It's Pikachu. Anyway, Raichu, who needs more love than Pikachu, clearly. My gosh. It's not even loading yet. Come on, man. I was waiting for that freaking thing to load. They're like, no, you'll stay in Pikachu's page. Raichu, I think, is a lot more better designed than Pikachu, to be quite honest. Overall, it actually is. It has a good color palette with black, yellow, and orange, and it also has like the belly that benefits it. It has the ears that look cooler. It has the tail that looks better. It looks more appealing with the tail and everything. How is Raichu not? I mean, to be fair, I guess I was going for Pikachu that entire time in the anime, because Raichu kind of looked like a big old fat bully, to be quite honest. But Raichu, realistically and figuratively, is better than Pikachu in every category. It's stronger, faster, whatever, and it's better design wise, is what the video's about. I can't say the same about Alolan Raichu, to be honest, because I don't think the electric psychic benefits what it is, and I don't think Raichu needs an Alolan version of itself, to be quite honest. I feel like they just wanted to do it for surfing purposes. I wanted to see what early Raichu looks like. Yeah, because the Alolan Raichu looks, I mean, it's like a mixture between Audino and something else. Maybe just Raichu, I don't know. Raichu looks a little bit different early on, where it had like a lot bigger feet. Still looks like, I don't know why they keep going for the hamster look, but I'm not the biggest fan of Alolan Raichu. It's just pancakes. That's just all I think of. Is the color of pancakes, and it likes holding pancakes. I'm looking at a picture of it holding pancakes right in front of me. What the heck, man? Alright. So we're going to go with Sandshrew. And Sandshrew, I always like the design of. You know, it's one of my first favorite Pokemon. I remember the first time I got a booster pack. It's one of the first Pokemon I pulled. Yeah, this is what it looks like. It just looks more like it's going for an armadillo. Well, I sound stupid. Yeah, it's an armadillo. What I'm saying is it looks a little bit too realistic, especially red and blue. I don't know why they wanted to do that with red and blue. I feel like it looks better than what it is right now, because it's the brick look, you know, it's not realistic, and it's appealing. And it's really, really clever what they did in the 7th generation with the Alolan Sandshrew. They should just really call it Snowshrew. I don't know why they just want to stick with Alolan Sandshrew. Because, like, if you're in Alola and you see this thing, why the heck would you call it a Sandshrew? I mean, like, actually. Oh, look, a Sandshrew. That doesn't make any sense. But it's really clever because they make it with the igloo. And they still kept the brick look. And it's awesome. And it makes sense, too, in real life as well. Because the armadillos, like, they do adapt when there's like a snowy environment, so you know, I mean, they don't make igloos, but both of these are actually a solid design, and I do feel the same way about Sandslash and Alolan Sandslash, or I could call it Snowslash, I guess. So many S's. Sandslash is one of my first favorite Pokemon. I think it was like number 2 or 3 on the top list. Something like that. It looks really cool, and so is Alolan Sandslash. It just makes sense. Its ice picks are, or his, I was gonna say his claws are ice picks, but yeah, it's clever, and the ice is pointed on, you know, the stalactites and everything. The early stages of it, red and blue and red and green, kind of, it's off, but it's not too far off, you know. But these two others, solid designs, really like it. I don't even know how I'm gonna split this video. I'm at 45 minutes now. I'm barely at number 29. So here's Nidoran Girl. Really, it's simple, but it's a good design nonetheless. I don't know if it's actually supposed to be a rabbit though. I don't really know, because that's what the other Nidoran is, I think. So I guess they do miss the mark on what it's supposed to be, but it doesn't matter in the end of the day, because unlike Bulbasaur, it still becomes a frog. But for this one, it doesn't remain a rabbit or a bunny or whatever. It turns into an actual dinosaur. I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong by saying that. Not like a dinosaur, but like, you know what I'm trying to say. Early Nidoran does look different though, if I do remember correctly. Not too, well, red and blue looks vastly different, but it's like the head area after yellow version pretty much looks the same. For the boy Nidoran, or actually no, we're gonna do Nidorina. Nidorina, it's a decent design. It's not all that special. It's just what you expect it to be. Yeah, it always looks pretty much the same. Yellow version sprite's a bit weird though. Nidoqueen, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's a dinosaur, right? People don't look at this and go like, oh, that's a bunny. So I feel like it's okay to say like this is the only one that's acceptable to miss the mark, because it's going for something else, you know. It's different when you say Bulbasaur's trying to be a frog, and it's too different, you know, two different things. Nidoqueen's always been a great design though. That's the reason I always chose it. It's not just by simply design alone, of course, but it's actually a good Pokemon because of versatility, and that's why you know, I wanted to do it for Leaf Green, but unfortunately stuff just happens. But here's the actual rabbit, Nidoran Boy. Nidoran Boy! Juggernaut. It's really cool. Early onward, like I mentioned, looks like definitely a weird rabbit, because it has like the buck teeth and the ears for it. So yeah, from yellow version onwards with our traditional Nidoran, what it looks like. So there's that. Nidorino is actually a really great design, to be quite honest. It's probably the more iconic Pokemon. I think that's why they put it in the beginning intro of the whole thing. So it's pretty damn good if you ask me. Looks of this thing, I'm pretty sure it looks the same throughout. Yeah, it looks the same throughout the whole thing. They knew exactly what they wanted, and they knew what a good Pokemon looked like. So solid design, it's great. Nidoking, oh my gosh, you already know I like this thing. You already know I like this thing. Who could argue? Who could say that this is a bad design? Nobody. Not a damn person. It's a great color choice, and I remember that episode where they went to the Sevi Islands, or I guess it wasn't actual Sevi Islands, but they went to that island where Pokemon ate pink fruits and they turned pink. That was a cool episode because Pink Nidoking looked freaking wicked. It looks awesome. So there's that. And they did kind of slightly change it because it looks, you know, there's that Jurassic Nidoking picture from the manga, and you know, they kind of went for that. But it's freaking cool, man. It's such a great Pokemon. Versatile, and oh my gosh. I'm just gonna get over it. This abomination, I mean, Clefairy's fine. Don't get me wrong, Clefairy's, it's not like an ugly Pokemon. But the fact that they almost made this a mascot disgusts me. Absolutely disgusts me. Because look at this picture right here. This would have been our mascot. This would have changed Pokemon forever. The direction of it completely would have changed. And I don't think I would have been doing this video today if this Pokemon became a mascot. This Clefairy variation is ugly to all heck. I don't care if they make entertaining episodes, I don't think it'll be the same. But regular Clefairy, it's okay. It's not all that special. As for the early stages, pretty much looks the same. It just looks a little bit more, you know, I feel like it's mostly the pixel art that looks a little bit different, but not much different. Clefable I actually do like, and it's funny to say because, you know, it looks pretty much like a Clefairy, it's just different, what's the word? There's just different things on it. But, you know, it's not terrible. It looks decent, and I like the Pokemon. It's okay, okay? There's not really much to say. Clefairy, it just looks like it's trying to be too cute, and Clefable actually has like presence. Like I said, it's a bit weird because there's not much different, but I have a feeling some of you guys might know what I'm talking about when I say that. Pretty much it looks all the same. I mean, just look at this sprite, yellow version sprite, over the Clefairy sprite. There's a difference there. I'm not that crazy about it. Alright, so Vulpix. It's such a great Pokemon. And the design is awesome. And Alolan Vulpix looks amazing too. Just the Alolan, oh my gosh. Alolan Vulpix is such a clever idea too. You would think that this would be the original idea for the shiny, but it's not. It's just so perfect. It's an ice type Pokemon, and it also could be realistic because there's like snow foxes. It's really cool. I think the early design does look different, just by a little bit, because the foxes look a bit weird. Yeah, especially the back sprite. The back sprite, I think I used to call this thing Mozilla, because the Mozilla Firefox thing kind of looks a bit weird or something. At least I think so. It's something about that sounds correct in my head. Ninetales, also a great design. I remember somebody messaged me before saying some things about Ninetales, whether like what's the reason why the colors are different compared to Vulpix, and I told that person, well, the thing is because it's kind of a different variation fox because it's more based on mythology. Because there's a whole bunch of Pokemon that are from one animal changed into a completely different animal or an object or whatever you want to call it. Because, you know, like for example, Wingull is a seagull that turns into a pelican. You know, two different species of birds. Now for Ninetales, it's a different color, which I feel like is for the best. It's like gold and with the orange tips. Because if it's Vulpix colors, I don't think it would. I mean, it'd be fine. To be honest, it would be fine if, you know, if they made the mouth underside yellow and then the overhead red. Maybe not yellow. I don't know. Because I'm trying to think of it. But it's fine the way it is. It's a great design choice. And Alolan Ninetales just looks majestic. It's such a great Pokemon, both of them. I think the Alolan line gets more of the edge here, though. What does early Ninetales look like? It's, a little bit different. Kind of has shorter features to it. That's the word I was looking for. It's features. That's the word I'm looking for. But nonetheless, interesting. Pretty interesting. Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff is actually a pretty good design. Big eyes, smiley face. I know it's simple, but I mean, it's simple but effective, I would say. It's a bit different in red and green version. It looks a little bit more derpy, and then from red and blue, about the same. It just looks more chipper. And then yellow version, you can see the difference. So that's how you know it's effective. You know, it's a very iconic Pokemon. There's a reason why he made it to Super Smash Bros. Just look at this picture. Anyway, Wigglytuff. For Wigglytuff, yeah, it's effective. But I like Jigglypuff more because it shows more of an adorable side. Wigglytuff not that far off, but you know, it's still a solid design. Simple but effective, I would say. Sometimes you don't have to make, you know, people would complain anyway, regardless if you're making a simple design or not. People would either say, oh, well, it's uninspired, or it's over designed. There's hardly any in between, to be quite honest, if you think about it. But it's for the best, because if you look at the red and green version and the red and blue version, it's out shapen. It just wouldn't work. From yellow version onward, it just works. It's the right shape. Still has the Jigglypuff features that makes it adorable, but you could tell it's a different Pokemon. I'm almost finished here. So we got ourselves Zubat. Zubat, I feel like they could do better. But yeah, I don't know. They could do better if they're thinking of a bat. You know, they could do so much more creative things. And the thing is, the only bad Pokemon they got right is Noibat, because Swoobat, like I mentioned before in a different video, Swoobat is probably one of the worst designs. Zubat though, they could do better, because there's not much difference in the early sprites either. As for Golbat, they made improvements, but it's not what an ideal bat would look like. It's a bit too big too for some reason. It's 5'3". For whatever reason, it's like 4 inches away from being a Charizard, you know? Don't you feel like that's too big? And the early designs, I don't know what the heck they're going for. Like, the tongue is sticking out and everything, and I'm like, what the heck? At least in Crystal version, they look kind of, you know, cool. But yeah. I mean, I guess I'm looking at the other sprites. They look decent, but I feel like Golbat could be an entirely different thing if they just, like, you know, kind of push it towards that direction. You get what I'm saying? Like, Golbat's decent now, but, you know, if they kept pushing it, they could do a better design, is what I'm saying. I'm gonna probably stop at 50 is what I'm gonna do. So here's Oddish. Oddish is a simple design, but I like it because it's adorable. Some Pokemon just doesn't have to be, you know, because the concept, if you're making a plant Pokemon and this is the first generation, then that's what you would do. Regardless of what I said earlier about, you know, that I shouldn't put that in my head where it's all like, well, because it's the first generation, then you could excuse them, and for other series, you know, I can't really say the same thing. But when you break it down, regardless, if you're making an idea and you want to present it to the audience, if you want to say, okay, well, this is my plants, what they look like, this is what fire, what that looks like, and with water and that, what that look like, most people would expect that you'll go up from there. For Gloom, when I was a kid, I'm not too into the design, to be honest. It's supposed to look like the mushrooms affecting it, but I don't know, it doesn't work for me, to be honest. It's a bit weird, and I'm not just saying it because of the jewel mark on down there, but it's a bit too different early stages. I don't even know why the heck Yellow Version they decided to make it red, but you know, there's that. Vileplume I do like design wise, because you know it shows the oddish side to it, so that's good. I'm pretty sure in the early stages it looks outshapen. Yeah, it's a bit weird. And again, they made it red for some reason, Yellow Version. But Vileplume now looks fine, you know. Paris, it's a completely ugly Pokemon, really uninspired. To think that they were gonna make a baby Paris is kind of funny, because Paris is weak enough, so why would you make a baby version of it? It wouldn't. It would be born and dead in a moment within the sunlight. Like, come on, man. It wouldn't work. And then to look at the early designs, actually no, it looks pretty much the same except for red and blue. Red and blue looks weird. Parasect is actually a pretty solid design, to be quite honest. I think it looks better in the early stages, to be honest, because it looks like a lot sharper with the design choices here. I think I like the red and blue sprite best. Well, then again, I like the Generation 2 sprite as well. It's actually pretty good. But yeah, you know, it becomes the fungus as well. It's a good concept. Unfortunately, the actual Pokemon's pretty bad. The eyes, I would change, though, because it looks a bit too zombie-ish, if you think about it. So here's Butterfree's pre-evolution. It's a hairy bug. It's okay. I mean, I don't know. It was always weird when Tracy had it. I didn't feel like Tracy really benefit from it. The design from red and blue and red and green, I think is a little bit different just because of the pixel art, but that's about it. Its evolution, Venomoth, I think looks decent. I don't know if this is actually true or not. They were gonna make Caterpie and then Metapod and then Venomoth, if it really is switched around. But Metapod wouldn't make any sense unless it was purple. You know, then it would make sense, I guess. But Venomoth, I think I do like the design of it. It's a good color choice, different shades of purple, and I feel like it works. Early designs, it just looks a little bit more papery, I guess because it is a moth. But you know. I'm almost finished. I got Diglett number 50. I guess I'll stop at like 51 then. We're almost finished. Diglett's a bit too simple. It's a bit too simple. It's a lot worse when you look at a lowland Diglett. It's all like, you guys didn't even try. You made it ground steel. You just added the type and added 3 strands of hair. People were excited to see that this Diglett could have been like some type of, I forget what they said at first. I think they said that it was gonna be like steel fire type or something like that, because I forget the reasoning. I think because they were coming out of the volcano or something like that. That's what people thought it would be. But no, it's just ground steel. That doesn't make sense that the hair's steel in its thing. But Diglett's a bit too simple, but at least it's adorable, I guess. Not really much to it. It's a lot weirder when you theorize the fact that there might be 3 men down there. I don't think it's the truth when there's Dugtrio, but either way, Dugtrio is the next Pokemon. I like it when it looks mad, to be honest. Pretty simple design. Concept not that creative, for obvious reasons. Dugtrio, design wise, there's not really much to say here. It's the Three Stooges. Ground steel type, you know. Yeah, I don't know why they just made that a thing. They just decided to just add a wig to it. They literally could have done that the same exact thing to Dugtrio themselves. Just add the wig in the anime just for fun. You know, if you really think about it, where's the difference there? You can't even tell that they're steel types. If I were to give it to somebody that doesn't know Pokemon, how would they know? I mean, we couldn't even figure it out when we saw it for the first time. The only reason we would come up with steel type is just based on the ground that they're sitting on. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, there's not much different. It's just, to think that Diglett and Dugtrio are bald is offensive, if you if you think about it. But yeah, I guess we're just gonna do 51 Pokemon today, because we got an hour. So next time we're gonna go do hopefully the rest, but we got like 100 other Pokemon to go, so hopefully we'll do it there fast enough, because I had a lot to say in the beginning. So if you like this episode, don't forget to press that like button. If you really like this episode, please consider subscribing. Haven't considered subscribing yet, please watch another one of my videos. I play the video games, and if you like playing video games, you might like my stuff. With that being said, in the next episode of this series, we're going to continue with Generation 1. How well and how good do they hold up nowadays? Is it good? Is it bad? Tell me what you think in the comment section below. With that being said, White Tigers and Dragons to you. Do not forget to vote. Voting is underway. Just put whatever game you would like me to play for my 10th Let's Play down in the comment section of any of my videos down below. White Tigers and Dragons to you, and you've been scarred by the night. I'm out.